Well, welcome, James.
Hello.
It's good to see you.
You too.
Thank you for taking the time to do this, and I wanted to ask you some questions about your experience when you were in the military and how's it been for so. One of the first questions was, what inspired you to service, to join the service, and what did it mean to you?
Really, I only went into this service because I knew that I needed money for college. So my mother, well, my biological mother, I don't really call her my mother, but besides that, she didn't pay for my half-sister to go to college. So I knew that it wouldn't be something that would be passed on to me. So I needed to do something for myself, and that was the whole reason. Benefits, really.
Okay.
And then I'd say that was the main thing that really, brought me into it.
And then, so going in for money and benefits, that sort of thing. And once you were in, what did it mean to you? Was it pretty much the same? You saw it that way, or did it mean anything else?
Well, because I was in boot camp during September 11th.
Okay.
It was funny because we had a senior chief, a guy that's just above my rank. He came in and he's like, I don't care what you came in for prior to today. You've all joined for the war. And for me, it was like shell shock because I was like, I didn't join for the war. I joined for money for school, So, and then, yeah. So, I mean, I'd say up until after boot camp, my opinion didn't change until then. And then it became, because we were granted leave after that, just to kind of walk around, and my friend and I were walking just on the street in Great Lakes, and two civilians were saying thank you for your service.
Okay.
And we were straight out of boot camp, so it's like, oh well, this is real to other people, so it kind of made me change my opinion of how I saw myself in the military.
And how did it change when those people said, thank you for your service? How did it change you in what way?
Well, it gave me a sense of pride. I didn't realize it until that point that this was real. It's kind of like kids playing toy soldiers. And then when I went to my schooling to become a military police officer, it really solidified that pride and then it became like protector role almost.
Okay, so moved from pride to protector when you went to military police school, and that's how it changed again. It sounds like. So it's kind of the three movements already: money and benefits, then pride, and then protector. Yeah. Oh, wow, that's interesting. That's interesting. And how old were you when you went in?
I turned 19 when I was in boot camp.
Wow.
So.
Okay. Wow. Young.
Yeah.
And how do you think it affected your identity? The idea of becoming, a soldier.
I think that it really helped me not only identify as a soldier and then later as a veteran, but also because the military is all about breaking you down.
Yes.
It really allowed me to find structure and stability in my life because I had none of that going in.
Okay.
So it helped me kind of start my journey, my own personal journey, based on that, because they talk about breaking you down, but they don't tell you about building you up. It's like they build you certain portion, but they don't talk about your internal makeup of what happens after you've been broken down.
So they broke you down, and then you were able to form an identity as a soldier, serviceman of sorts, and that seemed to be. And how did getting that structure and doing that? How did that affect you as a person? In what way? I mean, as a young man, how did it make it easier, harder? How did it give a sense of that?
I think that it helped me really become the person that I want to be.
Okay.
Because before then I was still struggling a lot with anger and aggression.
Okay.
And then there was just a point, I got to a point where it's like I can't, there's no reason for me to do this anymore. Why should I be walking around just pissed off at everything.
Okay. Ah, that's interesting. So in a way, it helped you manage the anger and aggression in some sort of way differently, huh?
Yeah.
By making that shift.
Yeah, it was more like a thought that it's like, what's this gonna achieve?
Okay. So that, why am I pissed off? What good is that?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Okay. So that helps solidify your identity in a way. Maybe, I don't know if this is a strong word, more maturity or something like that along that. Would that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay. So something along those. And you were in the service for what, 15 years?
No, just 4.
4 years, sorry.
No, but I will be going back into the reserve, so I will.
Oh, okay.
I will make a career out of it just because,
Uh-huh.
again, the benefits.
That's right.
All the benefits that I have, I can pass on to my son.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll be able to have money for college
Good.
and be able to use those benefits.
Good.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. So when you think of your proudest moments as a service person, a serviceman, what kinds of things come to mind of things that you did or moments of pride that you had? I mean, there was the one where people said thank you for your service, but were there other things you either accomplished or did that you feel proud about?
I was really gung-ho when I got to my first duty station, and I was one of the first. There was only 2 of us.
Mm-hmm.
I was only one of the only 2 that was the youngest promoted in the quickest amount of time, and we were both given leadership roles right away.
Okay.
It was junior leadership.
Uh-huh.
Like we had a supervisor, but
Uh-huh.
because we were there, they kind of were able to, go away and not
Yeah.
really do anything.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, I took a lot of sense of pride with that, and then also like my shift. My shift was, trained. They were, we were always doing like spot checks. We were doing
Uh-huh.
drills. We were doing trainings.
Uh-huh.
Even though like we were an isolated island, there was still a big threat because I don't know if you remember like the bombs that they used to like destroy a lot of the bunkers and stuff like that came from the island where I was at.
Oh, wow.
So there was a big push to, find this place and, strike back.
Right.
So we were always having like threat levels increase. So
Okay. Okay.
we were always doing drills just in case things
Okay.
happened.
Okay. So your proudest moment in a way was the way you accelerated in this program and sort of organized everything, or
Yeah, and really like made sure that all the people under me could do my job, because that was big for me. Like if I, heaven forbid, if I were to get killed, what are you going to do? You need to step up to take over from me. And it was that shared mentality that, if I'm down, what do you do?
Yeah, yeah, and feeling is it fair to say proud that they got it, that you were able to pass that on, that baton to them in a way that they got it, that they got that knowledge of what to do if something were to happen to you.
Yeah, because routinely I would step away from the leadership role, and whoever I was with that day, I'd say, what do you do in this situation? And it was right then, so they had to think on their feet, So like if it was late at night and we were dealing with bar situations, and like the Marines, because the Marines came to the island every now and then, and they always get drunk and start problems.
They do?
Yeah, they do. So and then they always feel weird because they're kind of under the Navy. So,
yeah.
So there's a big dynamic there, but yeah, it's like when you see somebody like push somebody and you're with somebody that's your partner, like, okay, well, what are you going to do now?
Yeah.
And it's like throwing them into the fire.
Yeah.
But still being there to, support them if they did have a question.
Okay. And now that you mentioned the bar, was there a bar example of that where you were able to do that with, one of the people you were training, where you actually saw them in action in the bar, or where you did that, or was there any example of that you thought of?
Yeah, there was there was 2 Marines that were getting more into a shoving match, and it was early into the night that I knew that it wasn't going to be a big situation. It was more like bravado. Let me test you, you test me.
Yeah.
But we can't have that on base anyway. So
no.
yeah, and Adams, he was there.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no problem.
Sorry, folks. Oh,
That's your jacket.
there we go. Sorry.
No problem. So yeah,
So-
Adams, he was there,
Mhm.
and he was just, you know, the guy that I was training that day.
Right.
And he saw, at the same time, you know, one of the Marines pushed the other Marines, and I said to him, okay, well, what do we do?
Great.
And he's like, well, here, you know, and like he didn't tell me what he was going to do. He just kind of went in, and he did what I had instructed him to do, which was, you know, you guys knock the shit off or I'm calling your sergeant, which
Right.
is the thing you do because Marines are very fearful of their sergeants
Okay.
because they're the guy that, you know, really lays down the law.
Right. Right.
So,
right.
you
Okay.
know, and then that calmed everything down.
I
and-
come in.
yeah, and then it wasn't an issue, and it's like, oh, well, you know, we were just, you know, it's like, we know what you're doing, just
Mhm.
knock it off.
So when he accomplished that, did you feel that sense of a little bit of pride, like the guy did well and I was helpful in some way?
Yeah, definitely, and then, you know, I knew that if, you know, I wasn't there, then he would be able to you know, do it on his own.
So the reassurance that, okay, he knows what to do.
Yeah, because we would have certain people posting at the bar if there was, you know, big events or things like that, so,
Mm-hmm.
you know, sometimes we would always have routine patrols through there, and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I would want to make sure that if my people were there,
Mm-hmm.
they knew what to do.
Good. Very good. And in those proud moments, what do you think of the values that were embraced in that? What values do you think were being communicated?
I don't know, like, I've always thought of myself as like a natural leader,
Uh-huh.
and like I really value, you know, passing on the baton, so to
Okay.
say. And,
Yeah.
even after I got out of the military, like I made sure that wherever I worked, if it was security or anything like that, that people knew how to do my job.
Okay.
You know, because you see that a lot with the private sector
Uh-huh.
where somebody gets that power and they hold on to it,
Yeah,
where me, I
yeah.
like to share it, because if you know how I'm doing something and you see a different way to do it,
Yeah.
maybe we can come together and do it better.
Yes. So the value of giving or passing on the info, and that's an interesting distinction you notice between the private sector and the military that
Yeah.
way, because that certainly is true in the private sector. There's no mentoring usually or passing the baton that much. You're on your own, Jack.
Yeah.
Kind of more like that. Yeah. Very much so.
Some of it's in the military too, like the different types of people that get into positions of authority, because, and it's like, oh, well, you know, I'm the only one that knows how to do this. It's like, well, somebody had your job before you got here, you know, so it's like, I know that somebody else passed on information to you, why don't you pass that on to me?
Oh, okay.
So that, you know, we don't have to spend, you know, months for me to get that learning
Yeah.
curve.
So getting that gift, did you actually request that from some people? Where you say, hey, come on, share the wisdom?
Yeah, I'd say when I first got there to my first duty station, you know, I was really grateful because I was gifted with people that asked me, okay, well, what do you want from your time here? And,
Wow.
you know, it's like, okay, well, I want to do, you know, as much as I can, you know, come into a leadership role if that's possible. And I said, okay, well, you know, we'll make that happen.
Great.
But, you know, like when I got to my second place, you know, it's like there wasn't really that type of interaction anymore. So
Yeah, it changed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in the challenges that you experienced, what were the things, thoughts, actions, or people that gave you the strength to cope when things were difficult in the military for you?
I'd say the friends that I had, because like I still have, you know, they're lifelong friendships. I mean, you know, if you go to, like if I go to Maryland or if I go to Virginia, you know, that's the other thing too, like when people move, it's like, hey, now I'm here, you know, if you need a place to stay, if you're in the area, look me up, you know, like my wife and I went to go see the ball drop in New York, and my buddy lived in Albany.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, hey, we're, in Times Square, and he's like, oh, coincidentally, I'm just there too. So we met up, and had just a drink and introduced him to my wife and everything like that. So
Okay.
it's nice to have, a friend that you don't talk to all that often, but you pick up right where you left off. So I'd say the friendships really helped me get through tight spots when I was having them.
Okay. Anything else? Anything else you would do either in your thinking or habits that seem to be helpful to?
I'd say writing. I've always been like an avid writer and journaling and things like that. So I always like to envision somebody else having the difficult problem so that I don't have to.
Oh, by writing, you do it that way?
Yeah,
that's
so
a great
then
idea.
I write about it, and then it's like, oh, well, that person's having those issues, not me.
Okay.
And then, it's kind of like how you can work it out, too. It's like, okay, well, it's like you're looking at a problem from a different perspective, even though it's your problem. So
a little bit removed that way, yeah. And so that was helpful, the journaling. So the friends, the journaling, other things you did that you think were helpful in helping you cope when things are tough?
I'd say drinking.
Drinking was?
Yeah. Well,
okay.
We had like a little social, like when we got to our second duty station, it was more like dormitories housing. So we had like the whole wing, and it was all just military police. So like all of us on the same shift, So once we got off, we go to one person's room, and you had the bar all stacked and everything like that. So just a way to unwind and be like,
Yeah. So using the alcohol to unwind. I assume short term it wasn't.
No, yeah.
Okay, I don't know.
Yeah.
So that seemed to be helpful. Any other things that you turn to that you think help you get through when things are tough? Not that there needs to be more, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, for me, friends were always bigger than, family.
Anything?
So.
Okay, friends are bigger than family.
Yeah, because I came from, kind of a troubled background, so.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay.
So I didn't really have that outlet to go back to.
I see.
Plus, it was big for me to kind of say goodbye when I went in.
Okay.
Just in case,
Yeah.
I didn't go in with a relationship. I told all my family, and like we did like a nice little last dinner send-off thing before I left.
Okay.
And for me, it was nice to be able to say goodbye just in case it did happen.
Yeah.
Not that I wanted it to, but
just just in case.
Yeah.
To say goodbye, to say your piece to your family, even though things may have been troubled in some sort of way. To do that, and so that was helpful. It sounds good. And these things you turn to your friends, your experience in the military, journaling, the desire to pass the baton. How's that been carried over into civilian life? If it has, in what way do you see it being carried over?
Yeah, I'm still really close to my friends. My personal friends too, which I consider more my family than anything else. And then, like even today in grad school, like I created a group, a study group for each of the classes, based on last semester to, kind of share that information and, really I want to pass the leadership role on to somebody else.
Yeah.
Because I can do it, but,
yeah,
somebody else might shine better.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so you've done that with all the study groups, and you got what, 3 or 4 of them or something like that?
5.
5 of them.
Yeah.
And in passing the baton, have they picked it up?
The one person that I was hoping would, is because she's had some personal issues, so she's actually requesting to leave the group.
Oh.
So now it's, kind of figuring out who to replace her.
Yeah. In the group.
Yeah. And that's kind of thrown me for a loop, recently. But but yeah, I mean, certain circumstances can't be unavoided.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I would imagine in the military, you don't refuse the baton because you don't have much choice.
Yeah.
But in civilian life, you can that way, so that might be a little different for you. So, do you have a guess of how you will pass that baton on to the next person, or what strategy or ideas?
I'd say maybe just through the mentoring process. Like I've also been talking to Dr. Laurent, and
Mhm.
he wants me to do like a kind of like a website thing for the MFT program.
Oh, okay.
And my thought originally, after he asked me to
Mhm.
kind of spearhead that, was, okay, who's going to replace me?
Very good.
Because I'm not going to be here more than 2.5 years.
Yeah.
That's always my internal process. It's like, okay, well, yeah, I don't mind doing it, but
Who's going to replace me?
Yeah.
So that's your training. and
who's
it
the
goes
next
back
in
to
line?
that, yeah. So in civilian life, you're thinking that and operating that way of, yeah, I'll do this, but I also want to keep the legacy of it going in some sort of way. Invest in it. That sounds good.
Because it'd be nice to come back for an alumni
Mm-hmm.
dinner or something like that, and you're like, hey, this is still going on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's very true. That's very true. Well, as you know, sometimes things go wrong in war. When things went wrong, how did you make sense of those things to go forward? When things went wrong.
I'd say that was a little more difficult because I kind of withdrew a little bit because in between right at the end of my first duty station, going to my second one, I kind of got into this altercation with one of my superiors, and he was in the wrong, but he was still in the position to, make it right for him.
That's right.
So, and it didn't help that his boss really threatened me to kind of put my supervisor under the bus.
Okay.
And, I understand gray area, and that I can work in gray area, but if you threaten me, I go up on the other side. Like, there's no more gray area for me. It's either I'm right and you're wrong, and that's it.
Okay.
So, when that happened, I was really threw me for a loop, and it really impacted that gung-ho attitude. So,
how so?
I'd say I wasn't really interested in being in the leadership position anymore. I was just kind of, wanting to do the minimum that I could do.
Okay.
And once they both left and I was put back into a position, of authority, it just wasn't the same.
Okay. So you were gun-ho, and then you went minimal low instead of gung-ho, gung-ho low.
Yeah.
And the sense was that they threw you under the bus in some ways. You said they went to the other side. What did they do? Disciplined you in some sort of way?
Yeah, and their idea of discipline shouldn't have been a different way, because they demoted, not in rank or anything, with just in authority.
Okay.
They took my supervisor and put him as the person that just did like the pickups for all the military personnel.
Okay.
And then they put me in dispatch, but
okay.
Those two roles for us, we enjoyed anyway. So it wasn't really a punishment per se.
No.
But it was still the fact that
it happened.
Yeah.
Almost like a transfer in a way.
Yeah.
The fact that it happened, and so that took the gun-ho out of it. And them doing it, what did that mean? How did that affect? It's disappointing. Didn't seem fair. Is that what it was? Or
yeah,
what did it mean?
I was big into, rules.
Okay.
Because military is all about rules, regulations, and these are the way things are done.
Right.
And when that kind of belief system shattered, it's like, okay, well, what do we do now?
So maybe a belief system of order and rules was important to you, and wait a minute, these guys aren't playing by they're breaking that.
Yeah,
And
and
that-
these guys are in charge, so
Mm-hmm.
you know if they're not playing by the
The
rules,
rules.
then
Why do
Who
we have
is?
them?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. What the hell's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Maybe a belief in the order, the rules. Maybe even if I can stretch it, justice. I don't know that it's unjust that would happen.
yeah, I'd say big
Okay.
sense of justice.
Yeah. Yeah. So that might be some of the core values that it sort of happened. So your gun ho got lost. So and you were doing the minimum. What worked to just survive in that? In the minimum.
I'd say the next set of leaders that really you know were above me, like they accepted it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they saw the potential,
Mm-hmm.
but then they didn't push when, you know, most people would push you if you
Mm-hmm.
see potential in somebody. And,
Yeah.
you know, when the wind's knocked out of your sails,
Right.
you kind of have to, you know, build yourself up. So,
Right.
yeah, for me, it was them really giving me that opportunity to kind of train people in lower aspects, not really the supervisor aspect anymore.
Hmm.
So there was different positions, like I would train them on gate, I would train them on dispatch, on you know, sentry positions, on watch commander positions,
Mhm.
but I wouldn't train them in the supervisor role because even though I had the rank at that time,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want the role.
Right.
So
Right. You want to do the minimal,
yeah,
that kind of thing. Okay.
like I still liked training and I still liked passing on the information.
Yeah.
But I just didn't want to be in charge anymore.
Yeah. You're gun shy in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you got burned on it.
Yeah.
It sounds like that. So, but to get, it sounds like the way you got through that, though, you had new people come in. They recognized your talent, let's call it that, or your skill, and did they didn't really push you really to you know go. They just left you be in some ways.
Yeah.
By getting these new people in, did it in some ways repair things for you?
Yeah, I mean, it made me appreciate that, you know, leadership takes all different kinds and all different forms. So even though, you know, I was burned, there's other people out there that are doing the right thing and,
Okay.
you know, recognizing what people are good at and when to push them and when not to push them.
Uh-huh.
And that was really, I think, that the re-strengthening of the idea that, okay, these rules are in place for a reason,
Uh-huh.
and it's not, like, those people that burn me are the exception to the rule rather
Okay.
than, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the new regime that came in, the new leaders, somebody restored some of your faith in the rules and the leadership in that way, and that somehow gave you more, for lack of a better term, hope, or
Yeah.
is that fair to say?
I'd say, yeah, I'm just hopeful that, you know, there's,
There's some order.
yeah.
There's some order. Wow, there is a reason for the rules. Okay, that's good. And if you found things that you regretted while you were in the service, what worked to get on track, or how did you deal with whatever regrets?
I'd say just talking through them, you know, like with the other people. Like I ended up almost going into a coma for drinking on my 21st birthday, which is separate from, you know, socializing after the fact, which I was more hesitant at that time. Like I would only drink like one drink, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'd say really talking with the people there and kind of realizing that there maybe was a problem that I was heading towards, and this was kind of like a wake-up call. But just being able to, I'd say, have the freedom to, you know, talk it out.
Yeah. So when you did things you did regret, you somehow were able to know you could still talk and connect with people and have that freedom, and that was helpful.
Yeah,
in
because I
some way.
mean, we were all, you know, like when you're over there and, you know, there's a war situation, like friendships and the bonds that you create
Yeah,
are so much quicker. I mean, like you learn who you can trust, who you like, you know, within a day.
right.
You know, so like your friendships are different than the playground friendships.
Sure, sure.
So yeah, being able to really open up and communicate and know that they're not going to stomp you, you know. For,
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
coming to them.
Okay. And how are they different than the playground friendships? What do they mean differently to you?
I don't know. It's just when there's a constant threat that you could die at any second.
Yeah.
You know, like all the minutia
Yeah.
gets pushed aside.
Yeah.
You know, and like
Yeah.
your core values, your beliefs, the things that you really want to accomplish. You know, like they're coming to the surface. You know,
Yeah.
like you don't spend time like, oh well, you know, Sally didn't like the salad that I brought her today. You know, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
who cares?
Yeah. You don't get caught up in the small stuff. Huh? Yeah.
Which I still find now. It's like people, you know, they ask, oh well, you know, how are you doing with this class? It's like, it's fine, you know, like, well, you're not stressing about this. It's like,
This
no,
is nothing.
you know,
This is nothing.
yeah, like when you have credible intel that you know your base is going to be attacked, you know, within a day. I mean, whether or not you get an 89 or a 95 on a test, really, you know, and you know, it's sad to say, but I mean, like, it
I don't know
really,
if it's sad to say, but it is what it is. isn't
yeah,
it?
I mean, it sets you up for listing priorities.
Yeah.
Where they kind of fall.
So maybe that's one of the things that it did. It helps you realign your priorities.
Yeah, puts things in perspective
Yeah,
too.
perspective and priorities. Yeah, good. You know, with the things that you regretted, whatever they were, how did you forgive yourself and others for whatever errors that were made?
I'd say forgiving others was, I think, easier. It's always been easier for me to forgive others and
Sure.
you know to forgive myself. You know, because I always had, like, when I did get, you know, to the point where I was almost in the coma from drinking. You know, I puked all over the room, and I was, you know, it was just a big mess. And my supervisor at the time had come in and he cleaned everything up.
Wow.
You know, and like, because I was in the hospital for like a day.
Wow.
So he, you know, he cleaned everything up, made everything orderly,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, when I went to him, it wasn't, hey, you know, you really screwed up. It's like, okay, well, and it was more me apologizing than anything else. You know,
Okay.
and but to forgive myself, you know, that was really, I'd say it took longer.
Okay.
Just because I was more beating myself up more than what somebody else could, you know, beat me
Sure,
for.
sure. But with him, you were able to go to him and say, "I'm sorry," something like that, right?
Yeah, and he didn't like push it, you know, like he was very, I don't know, the only thing that I could think of is the typical, you know, you screw up and you go to your father and your father says,
yeah,
you know, we all make mistakes.
right.
You know, and it's kind of like the pat on the shoulder and not really like, you know.
Shaming you or
Yeah.
something like that. So that's what he did that was helpful to you in doing that. Were you surprised by his reaction?
I really was. I was expecting him to come down and say, okay, well, we're going to reduce your rank, we're going to do all these other things. And really when he did that, it was just like, okay. You know, like it was bad, but it's not as bad as I made it out to be. You know, in my mind.
Yes. What was different in the way he was doing it? He wasn't, you know, you're bad. But what was he doing? He was what? I don't know if it's fair to say more compassionate or just more matter of fact.
I'd say compassionate or, you know, almost a level of acceptance.
Okay, accepting of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
you know, I think that he was in his 30s or 40s, so I mean, like, here's this, recent 21-year-old that
Yeah.
drank a little too much.
Yeah.
What was he doing at 21? Kind of
Okay.
a level insight that
Sure.
he might have applied to the situation.
Sure.
But yeah, it really helped me to kind of get over it quicker than
Sure. Yeah, because he's accepting that way. If he can do that, I can. I don't know, this is my interpretation. If he can do it, maybe I can do it. I don't know. Or it would certainly impact one. I could see where it would for sure. Yeah. And then, how did you start forgiving yourself for the things that you regretted?
I'd say, again, talking to people, and then just really coming to the realization that, you don't need to carry all this baggage with you that, doesn't really...
Sorry.
That's fine. You don't have to carry this baggage onto your next place, because that's the beauty of, being in the Navy, was that things that happened at your old duty station didn't really follow you unless, the people knew you that went to the same place. So, which is always, the first day of school, you don't know anybody, so, which I always liked.
Okay.
I always enjoyed, the first day of school, kind of reinventing your image.
Yeah. So knowing that you could reinvent yourself in some ways,
and not having to take it with you.
You don't have to take it with you. You can leave that behind,
Yeah.
and knowing you can go. Maybe it's too strong a word, but go forward in a way.
Yeah.
In reinventing something, that would help you. That help you forgive yourself. I can just go forward. I can become a different person and going forward.
Yeah. Plus, then you don't, make the same mistakes.
Yes.
So,
And
with that reinventing yourself, not taking just a little portion of it, so you remind yourself that, hey, this did happen, so let's not do this again.
So having the reminding yourself of that,
Yeah.
by the way, this did happen, so let's not bring that little gift with us.
Yeah.
Let's leave that one behind for them.
Yeah.
Okay. So that seemed to work in helping going forward and the forgiveness of self. Anything else that seemed to work in helping with the forgiveness of self?
I'd say talking to the people in leadership positions too, just to realize that certain things are punishable and certain things aren't. So really bad night drinking won't get you in trouble unless you're committing an actual act of aggression or violence or things like that. So just because you got drunk and stupid and puked everywhere, it's not something that we're going to go ahead and punish.
Right.
Disciplinary in action.
Right.
So
yeah. Okay. So knowing that. Okay. So on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being at peace with yourself and your service experience, where would you say you are today?
I'd say probably about an 8 or a 9.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And what do you think? It's very good.
Yeah.
What do you think would raise it half a point? Do you have any guesses?
Forgiving the people that really wronged me more so than I do now. I still do, when I think back of the supervisors, and then also there was another situation when I was on bike patrol, and it was the new position, and it was my attempt to kind of get back on the horse, and then there was a person put in charge of the bike patrol that wanted me out just for the sake that he wanted somebody else in.
Sure.
So he orchestrated kind of a scenario, and when that happened, it was okay, well, wind out of the sails again. But I held on to a lot of anger towards him just because, there wasn't any rhyme or reason to it other than I wasn't just his guy.
Yeah.
And he really wanted somebody else in there.
So if you were able to forgive this guy, that would raise it probably half a point.
Yeah.
I think so. Okay. And have you had any glimpses of that possible forgiveness with this guy in some way?
I had a glimpse of the opposite side. He went into like a dog patrol, and then there was a military channel that actually showed him on TV, and I saw him. I was like, this jackass, you know. So it's like, oh, you know, like he's doing, you know, well in the things that he wants to do, and it's like, you know, I can't share in your glory because I just don't like you. So yeah, I'd say that, you know, today if I met him, I'd say, you know, this really pissed me off.
Okay.
You know, and then kind of make amends that way.
By saying your piece that way, that would
Yeah.
make amends by telling them that?
Yeah, I think that would really raise the point, or raise it half a point for me, because then I could be like, okay, well, here's the things that I've been holding on to.
Okay.
These are yours. I'm giving them back.
Here's the gift.
Yeah.
You can have it now.
So,
okay.
and then, you know, because who knows if he...
Even cares.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it could give you that peace and that kind of thing. Okay, that sounds good. And when you think of a compassionate person, the most compassionate person you can think of, or a compassionate entity, or whatever you believe in, what do you think they would say you need to do to have a little more peace?
I'd say not hold on to anger so easily.
Not hold on to it anyway.
Yeah.
And what would you do instead?
Realize that people are trying to do the best that they can,
Okay.
given their circumstances,
Uh-huh.
and not holding them to any sort of standards.
Mhm.
You know, I think that I hold certain people to, you know, standards, and then,
Mhm.
well, you should be able to do this because, you know,
Mhm.
you're competent, you're, you know,
Mhm.
intelligent,
Mhm.
you know, and
Mhm.
I know I've seen you do this before, so why can't you do this now?
Yeah, you get excited about that stuff.
Yeah. So,
Okay. So not holding to those standards that way.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And just kind of like realizing that, you know, people are just trying to do...
That people are doing the best they can, reminding yourself that. So that the most compassionate person or entity would say that. Just remind yourself that people are doing the best job that they can possibly do in this situation.
Yeah.
And that's all. Good. Very good. Well, and wrapping up, did you find any of these kind of questions interesting or helpful to you in any way?
Yeah, I'd say kind of gave me a little bit more of an insight of, you know, my experience and
Mm-hmm.
the things that I didn't really think about beforehand
Mm-hmm.
that really shaped my military experience and what'll shape my career, you know, going forward. So.
And was there any questions in particular that caught your interest, you know, throughout the time period? Any particular questions? Not that there needs to be one, but...
I'd say the last one, just you know, kind of reminding myself to be more compassionate myself.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
and that's kind of like I need more of like a mantra and
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
You know, especially when it's like a hardship comes up, you know,
Mm-hmm.
just because somebody, like, you're the only reason why your wind can get knocked out of your sail.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you're the master of your own voyage.
Mm-hmm.
And just because something gets in your way doesn't mean that, you know, it sinks your ship.
Right. Right.
So,
Right. There's always a lifeboat.
yeah.
Well, very good, James. I enjoyed our conversation. I want to thank you very much.
No problem.
All right, great.
Thanks.
Thank you. Very cool. Very interesting. Very good.